I started doing challenge runs in Dark Souls 1 7 months ago. In total, I have done 11 runs, and I did all these runs in preparation to answer one singular question. Can you beat Dark Souls with no armor and bare fist only? With that said, let's get into the rules for this run. Rule number 1, bare fist only, which means no cestus, no dragon torso, and no sucky suck. Just straight old raw dogging it. Rule number 2, no armor. I want to fear for my life in boss fights for some weird reason. Rule number 3, no shields. Simply because they would trivialize most fights, and let's be honest, y'all want to see me suffer. I've read y'all comments. Number 4, level caps. After every boss that I defeat, I'm allowed 5 levels. I do this to prevent myself from being overpowered in early to mid game. Number 5, no summons. And lastly, beat every boss in the game. With the rules out of the way, we can finally get this party started. I start off by naming my character a Cain because no other character or individual would be stupid enough to attempt this. For the class, I went with the Knight due to it having the highest vitality stat out of the other classes, and I will be needing a lot of vitality for this run. As per usual, for the gift, I go with the Master Key. Nothing new here. With my character finished, it's time to head to Hell, I mean Lordran. Upon waking up in my cell in the nude, like any reasonable individual, I needed to tell someone important goodbye before leaving. I'm so sorry, Scully. You're going to have to sit this one out. This time, I have to do it on my own.
Oh, I understand. Cain?
Yeah, Scully?
Go eat some demon ass.
You got it, buddy. After making a blood pack and saying goodbye to Scully, I started punching my way through the asylum. Oh dear god, this might take a while. Well, while we are here, let's talk about Bare Fist. Bare Fist has a whopping base AR of 20 and a scaling of nothing. It literally has no scaling, not even an E, sadly. As you probably already guessed, there's no way to increase my damage through leveling stats. It will stay at 2 damage no matter how many points I put into strength or dex. For its moveset, you have a light combo, a heavy combo, and a jab. Sadly, the heavy attack only does 2 damage, and the jab does a whopping 1 damage. The only time the jab is better than the light attack is when needing to stun lock enemies or get a quick hit off, which will be very crucial for this run. Bare Fist of course can backstab, but it's nothing to write home about. And the last thing they can do is parry, which despite the low damage will be extremely important later on. With all that jargon out of the way, let's get back to the story. After punching a hollow for about 10 minutes, I find Oscar, get some crack, and make my way to the first boss of this hellish run, the Asylum Demon. This is the 3rd time I'm doing this fight with Bare Fist. I can honestly say I was not worried about this one. Really, in these types of runs, the challenge isn't hard on a skill level, it's more on a patient level. Well, for the most part anyways. For the Asylum Demon, you just stick to his ass the entire time, fisting away. The only thing you need to look out for is getting pinned against the wall. If this happens, it gets harder to see his attacks, or worse, you can get stuck. But I wasn't too worried about it. Oh, speaking of not worrying about it, near the end of the fight, I got hit multiple times because I was dicking around with chat. Now, the smart thing to do in this situation would be to heal, but I thought it would be more fun to see if I could beat him without healing. And it was. It only took 398 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 410 punches thrown, and 12 minutes and 14 seconds, which is a new personal best, to earn my first victory. After successfully eating some demon ass for my pal Scully, I made my way to Firelink Shrine, spent my 5 levels on Vitality, grabbed some souls, and nabbed a Firekeeper soul to upgrade my flask to +1. From here, I cheek up and make my way to the next boss, the Taurus Demon, aka 2 hollows on top of a tower because my god, they were a pain in the ass to deal with. It literally took me 6 minutes to kill both of them. That's longer than most boss fights. After taking out the secret duo boss, I was finally ready for the Taurus Demon, who then killed me 2 minutes later, because I wasn't fast enough to get up the ladder in time. So, in this moment, I knew I needed a bit more speed, so I decided I would go get the Dark Wood Grain Ring from Darkroot Gardens. The only caveat is I needed the Crest of Artorias, which costs 20,000 souls. Now, the easiest farming method in the early game is using the Red Drake. You normally access the Red Drake after beating the Taurus Demon, but there is another way to get to it. Since I have the master key, I can take the shortcut from Undead Burg to Darkroot Basin, which then leads to Undead Parish, and, fun little side note, along the way I decided to punch a tree, and it took me 325 hits to kill it. This has nothing to do with getting to the Red Drake, I just wanted to let you all know I spent 6 minutes punching a tree. Once at Undead Parish, I decided to take care of a few things before going to the Red Drake. I first grabbed me another Firekeeper soul for a +2 flask, and then proceed to save Lautrec so that I could shove him off a ledge like the good hollow neighbor that I am, so that I can take his ring and be the true Fap Lord of Lordran. With all that done, I head back to Undead Parish. From Undead Parish, run past the church to come to a friendly metal boar who will playfully chase you to a ladder that will lead you to the bridge with the Red Drake on it. With the Red Drake unlocked, I proceed to grind to 20,000 souls to buy the Crest of Artorias from Andre, and then open the door in Darkroot Gardens to access the Forest Hunter Covenant. I join the Forest Hunter Covenant to summon Shiva and his bodyguard. Shiva's bodyguard has the Darkwood Grain Ring. I just need it off his dead body. This is where the jabs come into play. Lucky for me, Shiva's bodyguard wears light armor, so I can easily jab him off a cliff. With the bodyguard dead, I jack the ring and make my way back to the Taurus Demon. The strategy I decided to go with for the Taurus Demon is to plunge attack him to death. You might be thinking it would be easier just to punch him to death, but with him having 1,215 HP and me only having 793, I found dealing 21 damage was safer and faster than potentially doing 8 damage ever so often. I would like to say this was a walk in the park, but I died multiple times. Unfortunately, the bit of speed that I gained from the ring was not enough to guarantee me from not getting hit, sadly. At this point, chat was begging me to make the Taurus Demon fall off the ledge, but I said nay to that. If I was going to do this, I was going to do this the right way. And where the fuck is the Taurus Demon? Oh, you gotta be fucking with me. Ah, fuck it, I'm not redoing it. After 2 deaths, 1 stupid demon, and 13 minutes and 3 seconds, I earned my second victory. After that disappointing win, I level myself up to 15, dumping all 5 points into Vitality. Once done leveling, I take a shortcut to Lower Undead Burg, unlock the shortcut to Firelink Shrine, and take on the Capra Demon. The Capra Demon fight was a pain in the ass, to say the least. Not only was it an act of Congress to make it onto the archway, but dealing with the constant pressure from the dogs and the Capra's lucky hits got a bit frustrating. Now, you might be thinking I am too low of a level right now to beat them, and I thought the same thing until I actually found a pattern to beat the dogs. The strategy I found was dodging the dog's attack into a punching combo. Once in the combo, the dog will be stun locked, which then I can push them close to the edge and switch to jabs to knock them off. And with this, I was easily able to take out both of the dogs. With both dogs out of the way, it made dealing with the Capra Demon a lot easier. From here, all I had to do was lead the Capra Demon to the archway and either plunge attack him or have him take fall damage. And after 10 deaths, a grand total of 538 punches thrown, and 34 minutes and 40 seconds, the Capra Demon goes down, earning me my 3rd victory. So the whole reason I decided to take the Capra Demon on so early was so I could save Laurentius to get the Pyromancy Flame, so that I could head to Blighttown and get Power Within to help out with damage output. Unfortunately, upon testing Power Within, it does not increase damage for bare fists, which in hindsight I should have known since 40% of 2 is not 1. After realizing Power Within was not going to help out, I decided to take on Pinwheel next to get the Rite of Kindling. Oh boy, this is gonna hurt for me to say this, but Pinwheel was actually hard. In any normal playthrough, you can just steamroll him with no issues, but when you only do 2 damage, it's a whole nother story. Due to the lack of damage, Pinwheel will just spam his clones pretty much non-stop, and when you have to deal with 6 Pinwheels, it gets kind of rough. Most of the time, I would get hit off screen when I was trying to get rid of one of the clones. With all this catching me off guard, I ended up using all of my healing by the halfway point. To be honest, I honestly thought I was going to die here, but by some divine intervention, or plot armor, I somehow was able to get Pinwheel to 1/4 of his health for him to do his big summon attack. Once he does this, he will no longer be able to summon any more clones. Upon seeing this, I knew what I had to do. I bum rushed the shit out of each one of those clones and smacked them into oblivion. With the clones out of the way, Pinwheel didn't stand a chance. It only took 663 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 1,004 punches thrown, and 35 minutes and 44 seconds to beat Pinwheel. I am just as surprised as y'all. After barely avoiding the Pinwheel of Shame, I decided I was ready to take on the Stray Demon. So I scaled a tower, hitched a ride from a giant bird, and fell down a giant hole, which upon falling, I realized I forgot to kindle the bonfire to have 20 Estus, literally defeating the whole purpose of beating Pinwheel before this. You might be wondering, why did I lead the Hollows down here? Well, simply to let the Stray Demon kill them. I learned my lesson from the secret duo boss. The Stray Demon himself is very simple, just run circles around him while smacking away. Really, the only hard part of this besides his large health pool is not whiffing. Due to the bare fist small hitboxes, I have to aim for his legs to actually damage him. Unfortunately, he will not be the only boss that I will have this issue with. But after 2,625 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 3,137 punches thrown, in 1 hour and 57 minutes, the Stray Demon goes down, earning me my 5th victory. At this point, I have 3 options: the Bell Gargoyles, Quelaag, or the Gaping Dragon. I decided to go with Quelaag. My reasoning for this is that she'll be easier than the Bell Gargoyles since she is only 1 boss instead of 2. And she will take less time than the Gaping Dragon since she only has 3,139 HP to his 4,401 HP. Chaos Witch Quelaag overall wasn't that bad of a fight. It definitely helped that I had prior experience dealing low damage to her. The only real issue I had with her was me running into her AoE attack. Coming from this Stray Demon fight, I was in the habit of running into the AoE after it finishes, but for Quelaag, it lasts as long as the explosion is showing, so it's only safe after it's no longer showing. Besides that one personal issue, I had no problems taking her down. All I did was hang out in her armpits during her sword combo smacking away, and wait for her spider to do its big throw up move to get more hits in. With only those 2 openings, it took 1,570 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 1,812 punches thrown, and 1 hour and 13 minutes to beat Chaos Witch Quelaag. After giving Quelaag a good spanking, I decided I would spank her brother next, and it only took 7 hits to teach him that he was a naughty boy. After punishing Ceaseless Discharge for his dirty thoughts and his pre-ejaculation, I decided to take on the Gaping Dragon next since I still wasn't mentally prepared for the Bell Gargoyle fight. But before taking him on, I had to pay a Chandler a little visit. For those of you who do not know, the Chandler can attack you while you are in the boss room and he can buff the boss, which I did not want to deal with, so I spent 3 minutes smacking him until he finally gave up on life. With the Chandler out of the way, I can finally take on the Gaping Dragon. The Gaping Dragon is the Gaping Dragon. All I did for 2 hours and 26 minutes was bait out his head slam attack and smack away. On the plus side, I did 3 damage instead of 2. You might have been wondering for a while now, why am I not using the red Tearstone ring? Well, due to the ring only working when the user has 20% of their HP and it only giving 50% damage increase, which would be 1 in this case, it is not worth it. Even with the 1 extra damage, I could easily mess up like right here. Unfortunately, when fighting bosses for multiple hours, the likelihood of me messing up gets higher and higher, and I would hate to be hours into a fight to just lose and start over. We wouldn't want that to happen, would we? So for the sake of safety, I decided to not use it for boss fights. With that brief explanation out of the way, it only took 1,467 hits to kill, 0 deaths, 2 hamburgers eaten, and a grand total of 2,045 punches thrown to earn my 8th victory. With the Gaping Dragon defeated and me finishing my dinner, it was finally time to take on the Bell Gargoyles. For the Bell Gargoyles, I went in at level 39 thinking I would be fine, and oh how I regret doing that. The first phase of the fight wasn't bad at all. I never realized how easily you can punish the first gargoyle. You can dodge roll attack with his swing combo after every hit, you can roll through his slam attack, his shield bash attack, and the best one, his tail slam attack. You can actually bait this one out by running behind him. Just with those openings, I was easily able to get the first gargoyle down to 60% health to summon the second gargoyle. And this is where shit hits the fan. With having to avoid multiple attacks at once, and attacks that go through each other, it made things a bit tricky. It took me a minute, 20 minutes to be exact, before I finally figured out a strategy for this fight. During my constant running away, I found that you can bait out the first gargoyle's attack, which then leads the second gargoyle to do a fire breath attack each time. And as y'all already know, fire breath attacks are the best time to get hits in. Once I figured this out, I was finally able to kill the second gargoyle, but at the cost of the majority of my healing. And the first gargoyle still had over half his HP. If I mess up right here, over 40 minutes would go down the drain. So I knew what I had to do. I had to lock in. I stayed patient, waiting for every opportunity to get hits in, until near the end where I started getting greedy, but we don't need to talk about that. But either way, after 740 hits, 0 deaths, a grand total of 865 punches thrown, and 59 minutes and 47 seconds later, the bell gargoyles go down. Thank you fucking God. After that intense fight, and realizing my mistake for not being at level cap, I ran over to Darkroot Gardens and grinded some forest hunters to hit my next level cap of 50. On a side note, chat informed me that you don't need to walk off the edge to actually get the hunters to fall off the cliff. All you have to do is walk to the spot near the stairs, and the hunters will gladly run off the ledge. Go figure. Once done grinding, I make my way up to Sin's Fortress to fall all the way down, to then remake my way back up to the top to fight the giant that throws fire bombs, thinking that I needed to kill him. But as someone pointed out from chat, you can just break the bombs and he will not be able to toss them. I had no idea that I could just do that. So I then proceed to let the giant bust his own balls and take on the Iron Golem. The Iron Golem wasn't too nice to me on my first couple of tries, but lucky for me, third time's the charm. Knowing that without armor I could get smacked off the ledge, I made sure to stay in the middle of the arena. To beat the Iron Golem, all I did was run back and forth, rolling into his attacks to get hits in. The only attack that was a bit wonky, or my timing was just off, was his Fist Slam attack. I would go a good while without getting hit by it, but at random times I would just get smacked by it. Besides that one issue, I didn't have too much trouble. Scully would have been proud. It only took 1,440 hits to kill, 2 deaths, a grand total of 2,134 punches thrown, and 1 hour and 3 minutes to earn my 10th victory. With the Iron Golem defeated, I hitch a ride to Orlando and comedically fall to my death. Let's not talk about it, please. I finally make it across the rooftop into Gwendolyn's bedroom, which is just a long-ass hallway. If any of you have watched my Skull Lantern video, you already know what's about to happen. I proceed to chase Mr. Daddy Issues all the way down to the very end of the hall. If you did not know this, yes, the hallway does end. The nice thing about this is once at the end, you can just smack away at Gwendolyn. And well, in my case, it's circling him for 18 minutes until he finally dies. It only took 1,000 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 1,011 punches thrown, and a total of 26 minutes and 31 seconds to put Mr. Daddy Issues out of his misery. From here, I went straight to the painted world of Ariamis because I am not ready for Ornstein and Smo. Once inside the painting, I run past some hollows, jump off a bridge, open the shortcut to the bonfire, kill King Jeremiah for a future setup, and then proceed to do the bridge skip to Priscilla. For Priscilla, I was level 57 for this fight. So, fun fact about Priscilla, she stays invisible unless you poise break her. What's not so fun about this, it's practically impossible to poise break her with bare fist. On my first go at her, I tried as hard as possible to hit her as many times as I could to see if I could get her to break. Sadly, it only led to my death. So on my second go, I just decided to suck it up and fight her invisible. What sucks about this isn't trying to hit her, it's not being able to see her HP. This made the fight more mentally taxing since you would never know how much progress you made or how much health she had left. So my strategy was to run from one side to the other, making sure to roll to her right side since that is the safest side not to get hit, and smack away. Lucky for me, I was streaming because reading chat definitely helped pass the time, even though a good portion of it was in Russian. Anyways, after a grueling 1 hour and 29 minutes of fighting, with only 1 death, 1,150 successful hits, and a grand total of 2,178 punches thrown, Crossbreed Priscilla goes down. Why does this feel like deja vu? Oh well. After assing back to reality, it was time to take on one of the hardest bosses in the game, Ornstein and Smo, to just die about 5 minutes later. At this point, I realized my SS level was too low, so I hunted down a child lover and a child cult leader, and put them out of their misery, to earn me 2 Firekeeper souls, which I can use to upgrade my flask to +5. With having the highest healing I could have, I went back into the fray, and Ornstein and Smo was fucking hell. With only doing 2 damage to them, it left a lot of opportunities for them to kill me. I died at multiple different time points, 17 minutes, 28 minutes, 44 minutes, and even after an hour of trying. And this was all during the first phase. The issue looking back on this was I wasn't being patient enough. Multiple times I would attack when I should have just played it safe. And in doing this, I would end up running out of healing, which would then lead to my death. So the strategy I found for this fight to help me was focusing on 1 bar at a time instead of the whole bar. And I would only allow myself to use 2 Estus and 1 Humanity for each bar. By doing this, it forced me to start playing more cautiously than I previously was. Besides that, there was no special trick or strategy to deal with them. Patience was the only way to victory for this one, and it paid off because after 20 Estus, 19 Humanity, and 821 punches, and 1 hour and 53 minutes, I finally killed Dragon Slayer Ornstein. 1 boss down, 1 to go. Lucky for me, I ended up having 13 Humanity left over, which is the exact number of bars on the boss's health bar. So I made sure that I could only use 1 Humanity per bar if I were to get hit. And I did get hit from time to time. My strategy for Super Smo is very simple. Wait behind a pillar for him to do an overhead attack, and then proceed to run straight for his crotch, punching away. If he does his sweep attack, just keep walking into his crotch. Another overhead attack, I just walk around and keep attacking. For his butt slam attack, I roll away 2 times, wait 3 seconds, and go back in punching. And lastly, if he hops away or backs off, I reset behind the pillar. Due to all these openings and the ability to reset are the main reasons I decided to deal with Super Smo over Super Ornstein. Ornstein does have less health than Smo, but Smo is just a safer option when it comes to low damage runs for survivability, even if it makes the fight last longer. There is a silver lining to all of this though. Towards the end of the fight, I had noticed that if I pressure Smo non-stop, he will actually not do his charge attack. He will actually keep doing his butt slam attack, his sweep attack, or his overhead attack. Upon noticing this, I made sure to take full advantage of this. And after 2,047 hits, 8 deaths, a grand total of 5,536 punches thrown, and a whopping 3 hours and 53 minutes later, I beat Ornstein and Smo. After somehow pulling that victory off, I pay Guinevere a visit and take in my reward. Take it in everyone, it might be a minute before we see these beautiful peaks again. After admiring the view, I head back to Firelink Shrine to place the Lord Vessel, spend the night in jail for some unknown reason, and find myself in Seath's sex chamber. Man, I really need to stop drinking with Richter. Seath was not hard at all. Most of you already know this, but all you have to do for this fight is chase either of his tentacles in a circle, and you can easily beat him. For bare fist, you just gotta do this for 2 hours and 21 minutes. It only took 2,763 hits to kill, 0 deaths, 1 nacho bowl, and a grand total of 3,488 punches thrown to earn my 14th victory. With Seath spun to death, I start making preparations for taking on Nito. For Nito, I will need 2 rings, the Slumbering Dragon Crest ring, which I can get at Sin's Fortress, and the Fog ring, which I can get from Snuggly by dropping off her boyfriend, Eduardo, not to be mistaken for his identical cousin, Scully. The only caveat to this is I will have to break the FAP ring to use both of these rings. This is where killing King Jeremiah comes in. If you trade in his headpiece to Snuggly, she will give you another FAP ring, which I 100% will need for the rest of the boss fights after Nito. With all my preparations done, it's time to take on Grave Lord Nito. Now you might be wondering, why do I need the Slumbering Dragon Crest ring and the Fog ring? Well, when combining these two rings, you can lure Nito out by himself and not have to deal with the real boss, his skeletons. For this fight, I was level 75, and made sure to level my resistance to 19 so that if Nito hits me, I wouldn't get toxic. Definitely didn't forget to do that on my first try. With having these two rings, this fight was a walk in the park. All I had to do was stand in front of him, smacking away, and I could dodge 90% of his attacks. The only attack that was troublesome was his AoE, but you can just easily run away from it. And with that, it only took 2,159 hits to kill, 1 death, a grand total of 3,340 punches thrown, and 1 hour and 39 minutes to beat Grave Lord Nito. With Nito 6 feet under, I run through the demon ruins to find a wild fire sage. Let's be honest, the fire sage is just a copy of the stray demon, with the only difference is he likes to hop more. So to keep my promise to Skelly, I started eating some demon ass for 2 hours.
Did someone say ass?
Damn it, Scully. After shooing away Scully, it only took 2,975 hits to kill, 0 deaths, 1 demon ass eaten, and a grand total of 3,053 punches thrown for the Fire Sage to finally finish. After putting the Fire Sage down, it was time to take on his cousin, the Centipede Demon. The Centipede Demon is a pain strictly due to his wide ass hitboxes. The workaround to this is just staying close to him, smacking away. The only danger here is him stomping his feet, but it isn't too hard to dodge. Once he is at half health, he will start doing a fire blast attack, and to my surprise, you can pretty much loop this attack and punish him for it. If you just stay to the right side of his leg, the attack will always miss, and when he comes back down, just repeat this pattern. It only took 1,716 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 1,861 punches thrown, and 1 hour and 5 minutes to earn my 17th victory. With the Centipede Demon no more, it was time to visit his mommy, the Bed of Chaos. It only took a 1, a 2, a 3 to get to the center of the Bed of Chaos. And with that, I earned my 8th Dark Souls badge. Oh, wait a minute. Wrong video. Whoops. After acquiring my 3rd Lord Soul, I decided it was time to take on the DLC. Definitely not prolonging the Four Kings fight. But first I had to deal with this Hydra. The Hydra wasn't crazy hard, just annoying. It took me a solid hour and 40 minutes to kill it. With the Hydra dead, I saved Dusk, convinced some crystal hollows to fall off a ledge, found out a crystal dude can survive from this massive fall, and made my way into the DLC, where a giant pissed off cat is waiting for me. Funny enough, the Sanctuary Guardian was actually straightforward on how to deal with him. All I had to do was wait for him to do his dive bomb attack and punch his tail. His tail has 500 HP, so it only took 250 hits to punch it off. With the tail out of the way, it was extremely easy to get hits in. It only took 1,280 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 1,491 punches thrown, and 2 hours and 19 minutes to put that giant pussy down. To celebrate my victory over the Sanctuary Guardian, I killed Elizabeth for her mushrooms, and found one she shitted out in a corner in the woods. I'll be needing all the healing I can get for the Four Kings, and with no other option, it's time for me to take on Artorias. This isn't my first rodeo doing low damage with Artorias, so I wasn't too worried about it. I knew I just needed to punish his lunge attack and his spin attack because that is the safest time to get hits in without getting hit. But I didn't expect for it to go this slow. So I decided to play it a bit more aggressive and attack when he does either of his jumping attacks. His big jumping attack is very easy to punish, with the only downside that he might retaliate. Now his short jump attack is a bit trickier. For the short one, I had to make sure I was far enough behind him so he would retreat instead of continuously jumping. Unfortunately, this trick was not foolproof. I would like to say I beat Artorias on my first try, but that wasn't the case. Even with all this healing, when not wearing any armor, you can easily die in a couple of hits. Like what happened to me an hour into this fight. Lucky for me, second time's the charm, because after 1,875 hits, 1 death, a grand total of 2,762 punches thrown, and 3 hours and 55 minutes. I defeated Artorias with my bare fist. After bullying Artorias with my bare hands, I decided to bully his dog next. Look, don't blame me, Sif could have just given me the Covenant of Artorias. I hate this as much as y'all do. For my crime against humanity, I decided to repent by taking on Manus, the Father of the Abyss. Manus is the same as Artorias. I have dealt with him so many times that I know every possible way to attack him. The only difference for the Manus fight is that the time it was taking to fight him was taking a massive toll on me. I do not know why for the Artorias fight I had no issues with fighting for almost 4 hours, but here, for some reason, my vision would go blurry from time to time, or I would lose my train of thought. Until this woke my ass up. It should be fine. I still have a decent amount of health, oh dear god. At this moment, right here, I had been fighting Manus for over 3 hours. If I get hit by any of his attacks, all that time will have been wasted. But I am happy to say that wasn't the case. After that wake-up call, I was refocused and was able to get the job done. It only took 3,333 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 5,295 punches thrown, and a total time of 3 hours and 37 minutes to beat Manus, Father of the Abyss. With Manus out of the way, that only left me with one DLC boss, Calamite. If you have ever watched any of my previous videos, you already know how much I hate this boss. PTSD aside, I didn't let that stop me from trying to first try him. My strategy was simple. I just needed to keep my distance and bait out his standing fire breath attack, his horizontal breath attack, and his tail slam attack. These 3 attacks are the best time to get multiple hits in without getting hit. Unfortunately, I did have a few close calls even with using this strategy, but it was able to get the job done. It only took me 2,700 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 3,502 punches thrown, and 3 hours and 19 minutes to finally first try this bastard. I have some unfortunate news for you all. I ended up failing this run. I had to use armor for the 4 kings. If you have watched my Skull Lantern video, you already know why it is not possible to beat them with low damage and no armor. So instead of reiterating myself, I will just explain how I went about beating them with just bare fist. For the armor, I decided to go with Havel's armor with Kirk's gauntlets. The nice thing about Kirk's gauntlets is that it adds 20 AR to fist damage, so instead of doing 2 damage for this fight, I was doing 4. And because my damage was higher than 2, I could use Power Within to increase my damage by 1 for a short period of time. Now you might be thinking this was a cakewalk with using armor, but that's far from the truth. Even when using armor, the 4 kings can still easily kill you. So my strategy was to circle any king that I was attacking to avoid as many hits from him as possible. And when I would get ganged up, I would make sure to break off from them to reset. For healing, I made sure to use Divine Blessings for instant heals in sticky situations. I made sure to save Elizabeth Mushrooms for the end to utilize the 100 HP per second for 30 seconds to DPS without worrying about damage. And lastly, I used Humanity and Estus for my prime source of healing throughout the fight. Using this strategy, it took 2,269 hits to kill, 0 deaths, a grand total of 2,393 punches thrown, and 59 minutes and 49 seconds to beat the 4 kings. After acquiring the final Lord Soul, I opened the door to the 7th layer of Hell to take on Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder. And my god, was he hell. So at this point, I could have used armor since I failed, but I knew it was possible to beat Gwyn without armor, so I decided to do it without it. I died a lot, 17 times to be exact. The saving grace for this fight was this video by Nathan Savage Damage. Nathan's strategy for dealing with Gwyn with no armor and bare fist only is to start off by parrying Gwyn, walk behind him to hit him, then roll back 3 times, walk backwards a bit, and then walk forward to parry Gwyn's lunge attack or his jumping attack. And by doing this, you can loop Gwyn into this pattern. Now, this might seem simple, but it's very easy to mess up. If you walk too soon or too close when Gwyn jumps, he can freak out and do this janky curve, which will throw him out of the loop. And it really sucks when you're 1 hour and 26 minutes into the fight and you end up dying because of this. To say I was devastated would be an understatement, but I wasn't going to let this small setback stop me, so I went back in and repeated this loop for 1 hour and 53 minutes, punching Gwen a total of 5,766 times to earn my 25th victory. I have beaten an army of demons, slayed dragons, bested Lordran's best knights, and even killed a god with my bare hands. But this motherfucking butterfly gave me the most trouble. The first issue with her is that she heals for 50 to 55 HP when she lands. So when you're only doing 2 damage, that means I would have to hit her 30 times in a row to do 5 damage to her. It is not possible to punch her that many times when she lands. So I was forced to use the Kirk's gauntlets for this fight. Even with using the gauntlets, I was only able to deal between 1 to 20 damage, and I was very lucky if I did 20. But hold on, that's not the worst part. After 2 hours and 30 minutes of fighting her, her attacks turn invisible. You heard that correctly, invisible. This is a bug that dates back 10 years ago from the original game that was fixed prior to the remastered. So it shouldn't even be happening, but for some godforsaken reason, it is. Due to this bug, I ended up dying 4 hours and 8 minutes into the fight. Part of me really wanted to quit at this point, but I knew I had to keep going. I had beaten every other boss, but this one, so I went back at it. This time, I made sure to wear the Mask of the Child that helps with stamina regain and brought 99 green blossoms. Now, you might be thinking, why not use the Grass Crest Shield since you already lost the run? Well, I'm a prideful bastard, and I didn't want to break any more rules besides the no armor. So with sheer will and stupidity, I grinded the Moonlight Butterfly for 4 hours and 41 minutes and dealt a fuck ton of punches, we ain't counting that, until she was punched into oblivion, ending my suffering once and for all. Oh, sweet baby Jesus, I'm never doing that again. So, can you beat Dark Souls with no armor and bare fists only? Sadly, no. But, can you beat Dark Souls with bare fist only? You sure can, but you really shouldn't. You might not believe me, but I actually did have fun during this run. I had a blast learning new strategies and chatting with everyone who stopped by the stream. I have to give a big thanks to chat. Y'all really made this run way more bearable than if I was doing this by myself. I also want to thank my channel supporters. Y'all are the real MVPs. It's thanks to my supporters that I can turn down unwanted sponsorships and give y'all a better viewing experience. If you too would like to support the channel or have your name in the video, you can click the Patreon link down below or click the join button. I also want to give a special thanks to Phantom Eevee for counting every single punch for the boss fights. I really do appreciate it, man. With all that said, I just want to thank all of you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, take care.